time on how me and my mom walked in on my sister sleeping with my stepdad. Okay, so boom. This was back in 2017. So I was 17 and my sister was 20. And my stepdad was 32. So when I was 16, my sister and I were introduced by my mom to my stepdad. And right off the bat, my sister was very flirty with him. I would always catch them doing things like my sister rubbing my stepdad's muscles and him just standing there loving it. I would try to tell my mom, but she would always tell me that they're just getting along and that they're basically father and daughter. Anyways, this day it was my birthday and me and my mom were gonna have a girls' day. So that meant that my sister and my stepdad were going to be all alone. My mom and I told them that we would be back around 10. So we go to a store to shop, but long story short, I fell and hurt my foot, so we had to go back early. As soon as we get into the house, we hear moaning. I immediately looked at my mom and told her, I told you so. As soon as I said that, my mom ran upstairs like the NBA. Life report. Part 2 on how me and my mom walked in on my sister sleeping with my stepdad. Okay, so boom, like I said, we came home early and immediately heard moaning. I looked at my mom and said, I told you so. As soon as I said that, my mom ran upstairs like she was a track star. She's a runner, she's a track star. Anyways, I ran after my mom and we opened the door together and we see my sister naked with my stepdad. My sister immediately started crying and my mom was literally beating my stepdad. And me, oh yeah, I was just laughing. Like, that was not shocking at all. Like, I literally saw it coming. After my mom was done beating my stepdad's ass, he was begging her for forgiveness. And y'all, she forgave him. I was so mad that I called the cops. But then the cops told me that it wasn't an emergency, so they hung up on me. So I was even more fed up. So I decided that I was going to beat my stepdad's ass, but 100 times worse than my mom did. Then I did it to my sister, and it gets worse. Like for part 3 on how me and my mom walked in on my sister sleeping with my stepdad. Okay, so boom, like I said, I was beating my stepdad's ass and then I was beating my sister's ass. Because I was so mad that my mom literally forgave this man for sleeping with her daughter. And my sister was literally always trying to sleep with my stepdad. Like she was sick. They all were sick. So I called my biological dad and I told him everything. Then he came over and then he gave my stepdad a real ass whooping. My sister actually lost her V card to my stepdad. And y'all, she got pregnant. I didn't want anything to do with that baby and no one else in the family wanted anything to do with that baby. So my sister ended up giving the baby up for adoption. And shortly after she gave birth, she went to jail, as she should, where she belongs. And so does my stepdad. Look, y'all, not all family is good family. They could be crazy and nasty. Goodbye. Story time on how my Uber driver tried to kidnap me on my birthday. Okay, y'all, so today's story is my own. And thank you guys for 1 million followers. All right, y'all, let's get into it. Okay, so boom. About 2 years ago in 2019, I lived by myself in my own apartment. At this time, I was at the end of my lease and I was actually moving to another apartment. I had to do everything by myself because I had nobody to help me, so I had to go get a U-Haul truck. This was my first time using Uber because I have my own car. But to get to U-Haul, I had to Uber over there so I could get the truck and then go from apartment to apartment. My first Uber driver bringing me to the U-Haul truck was fine. I had no issues with him and it was pretty normal and fast. So once I was done with the U-Haul truck and I was done moving, I had to return the truck to its location. And then I had to Uber back to my apartment where my car was. Now this second Uber driver, this is where the issue comes in. Y'all, it was literally crazy. My life was at stake. Life for part 2. Part 2 on how my Uber driver tried to kidnap me on my birthday. Okay, so boom, like I said, I returned my U-Haul truck and I waited for my Uber driver to come pick me up. When my Uber driver came to pick me up, right from the beginning, I knew something was off about him. Always trust your instincts. He was a little weird and off, but I told myself that it's only a 10-minute drive and it will be over soon. So I sat on the back of the car and I just stayed on my phone. You know, minding my business. And then the guy just started talking to me, like I guess he was trying to have small talk. But the weird thing is, I couldn't understand what he was saying. And I got footage, you guys. Listen to this. Yeah, I didn't know what he was saying, but I just thought he wanted to do small talk. So I just was like, oh, yeah, yeah, oh, ooh, ah. But then all of a sudden, he went off the path of my route. I was like, excuse me, you took the wrong turn. Then he turned back and looked at me and said, I think we're going exactly where we need to be. It gets worse. Like for part 3. Part 3 on how my Uber driver tried to kidnap me on my birthday. Okay, so boom, like I said, he went off the path of my route And I said, excuse me, you made the wrong turn. Then he turned around and looked at me and said, I think we're going exactly where we need to be. I still didn't get it and I looked confused and I was just like, just drop me off at this gas station here. And child, he locked the door. At that moment, my heart sank and I knew exactly what was going on. I was being kidnapped on my birthday. He locked all the doors and put child lock so I wouldn't be able to unlock and leave either. I was under pressure, but I knew I had to think fast and get out of this situation. Y'all, he was driving fast, but thank God he wasn't on a highway, so there was red lights. And I live in Miami, so traffic hour is real. I knew that once he stopped at a red light, that would be my only chance to get the hell out this car. So here we go. We stopped at the red light and I took his head and bashed it into his steering wheel. He didn't see it coming, so I did it pretty easy. Running out of time, like for part 4. Part 4 on how my Uber driver tried to kidnap me on my birthday. Okay, so boom, like I said, he stopped at a red light and I took his head and started bashing it into the wheel. He didn't see it coming, so that's why I was able to overpower him at that moment. As I was bashing his head, I knew that his door was the only way I was able to get out because of the child lock. As I bashed his head, I unlocked the door and I literally sling my whole body to the front of the car and I was literally on top of him. Unlocked the door, opened it, and I just jumped out. He held on to one of my legs, so I ended up falling on the floor on the street. But at this point, everyone was looking and someone was coming to my rescue, so he just closed his door and locked it. And as soon as the light turned green, he bolted. I was bruised all over, like my arm, but mostly my knees. I went inside the gas station and I waited for my friend to come pick me up. Y'all, all this on my birthday ruined my whole day. But I say that to say this: be careful. Thank you guys for 1 mil. Story time on how I beat up my grandma. Yes, my grandma. You heard right. Let's get into it. Okay, so boom. I'm a 16-year-old high school student who finds myself at my grandma's house almost every day. My mom's a single mother and works 2 jobs. And instead of leaving me home alone, she always drops me off at my grandma's house. And this has been our routine ever since I was 5 years old. My mom just felt more comfortable leaving me at my grandma's house. But what my mom didn't know is that I'd rather stay home alone rather than going to my grandma's house. My grandma has been beating me up ever since I was 5 years old. She didn't beat me up for any valid reasons. She would just be mad at me for the smallest things. Like one time I broke her glass chandelier while I was playing with my ball and she hit me. Another time I broke her 50-inch TV by accident and again she hit me. Y'all wouldn't believe this third reason why she beat me up. Like for part 2. Part 2 on how I beat up my 76-year-old grandma. Okay, so boom, like I said, my grandma would always beat me up for the smallest things. None of her reasons were valid. She beat me up once for breaking her glass chandelier while I was playing ball. Another time I broke her 50-inch TV screen on accident and she beat me up again. She even would tell me to wash the dishes, and when I would tell her no, because I don't live here, I shouldn't be washing anything, she would once again beat me up for being quote unquote disrespectful. All this hitting throughout the years and I was just over it, and my mom always siding with my grandma. Well, I'm 16 now and I was over it. My 76-year-old grandma should have learned to keep her hands to herself. So this particular night she told me to study, but I didn't want to study. I wanted to watch TV, so I told her no straight up. And things escalated. Like for part 3. Part 3 on how I beat up my 76-year-old grandma. Okay, so boom, like I said, my grandma told me to go study and I told her no, I wanted to watch TV. She said she was sick of my slick mouth and made her way over to hit me. But this time, oh no, I wasn't going for it. I pushed her away from me, then I punched her on her arms and her face. She fell down and started screaming in shock that I even hit her. Once my mom came home, my grandma told my mom what happened and my mom beat the living soul out of me. And my mom told me if I ever raised my hands to my grandma again, she was going to do more than just hit me with a belt. Truth is, my grandma never hit me unless I was rude or broke something, and that happened very often. Come to find out, I actually suffered from aggressive behavior in children and needed to get treated. Thank God I got treated and I'm better now. And me and grandma has a great relationship now. Don't beat up your grandma. Story time on how my brother got me pregnant. We jumping right into it. Okay, so boom. I came out to my parents and told them I was gay. My parents were not having it and they were pissed. My parents were actually so mad they kicked me out. After my parents kicked me out, my brother told me he would let me back in the house if I did the nasty with him. I know, sounds crazy. Why would I do that? But I was young at the time and I was dumb. I was young and dumb. So I agreed and I did the nasty with my brother. So I was living in my parents' house in secret and hiding every time they would be around. It worked at first, but I was always nauseous and throwing up, so they eventually found out that I was still in the house. My mom realized I was having pregnancy symptoms and said to me, "Oh, you're not gay." Imagine your parents being so happy that you're pregnant instead of gay. But wait till they find out who the father is. Like for part 2.